So hi everyone, welcome to First Wednesdays in September. I'm Gretchen Heido, Master Coach, and tonight it's all about show me the money, like Jerry Maguire would say. I have to tell you, I really thought that was hilarious, so that's why I named it that. I want to check in and just see how you guys are doing. It's been a month since, well, it's been 2 months because I was renewing my wedding vows the last first Wednesday. So how are you guys? What's going on in your world with your wins around coaching or your challenges? Let's just check in for a minute. Don't be shy. I know about your wins. You've been emailing me.
All right, I'm close to my 100 hours and I'm real excited about that. I just added them up today and I can't believe it. Yeah. With everything that has happened, I'm close to 100 hours.
I mean, it's amazing. And 100 hours well served for those clients. Congratulations. So Kim's going to be going for her ACC through the ICF soon. And those 100 hours she's been working towards, and she had one hell of a year, you know, and to still be there at this moment and everything else, it's a real accomplishment. So congratulations to you, Kim. That's awesome. Yay. Who else has a win that they want to share? I know more of you have wins.
I'll go.
All right.
I also finished my 100 hours during quarantine with the 3 kids. So it was very challenging, but it was done. Carol, it's so good to see you. And I feel like I'm ready to conquer the world. I feel like we're in a place now that the world is waiting for us.
It's true.
And the honest truth is, I do not really know how to reach the world that I am talking about.
Mm-hmm.
To reach that, I know a lot of need is out there, and I know that we have what it is to fill that need, but I'm not sure I know exactly how to do that initial step and get more clients and get more people and on the right path.
Well, I'm so glad that you came tonight and that you shared that, and congratulations to you too. That's amazing. So both of you ladies are going to need mentorship. So make sure you get your mentor hours, and I'm happy to talk to you about different programs that are out there and private mentorship, you know, what the differences are. But congratulations, really, really wonderful. Okay. How about some client wins? Let's hear those.
Well, I was going to share about the class, the advanced class.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I just want, hi Sharon, it's good to see you. Yeah, we were in the same class a long time ago. Did you have your baby? Yay! She was pregnant the whole time, it's so fun. I took the advanced class, the advanced coaching class, and Deanna Long was our instructor. She's fabulous, just like Gretchen is fabulous. And it was great. We had a really good time, had really, really great people in there. So now I'm doing my advanced peer coaching hours. And then I'm also starting the ACTP program. So yeah, you know, since I took the LPI way back in September, I think it was 2018 that we were in the class. Yeah, and then I did my my pro bono coaching, which took a few months. And then I went over to the other program, and then I came back. So I got lots of coaching experience. But it's like, it was really, really good for me. I'm so glad I did that. I talked to Gretchen about it ahead of time because I needed to get centered back in this program and then start on the ICF accreditation myself, because I want to definitely go for ACC and then probably PCC as well. We talked about that in class too, in terms of, you know, setting your goals and just saying what you want to go for and just doing it, right? So it was so important for me to start coaching back in the ICF method, because I feel a lot more confident, a little more grounded now. So yay.
That is so wonderful, Carol. And Carol is also having some big wins around writing. So that's been amazing to watch too.
Yeah, that. I published my first article on medium.com. So, and then I was invited to publish in Curious, which is a new publication that was started by the startup, which is the largest publication on Medium. So now I'm going to write. So now I have to write some stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
It's exciting and scary at the same time. You know, it's like I'm doing everything I want to be doing, but yeah, you just got to push through and get over your fears and feel the fear and do it anyway, right? So
that's right. Spoken like a person with a coach, that's for sure. You know, that's right. You do it anyway. So happy to see all of you, and really always happy to hear about your wins and your challenges. Tonight, what I thought we would talk about. Oh, go ahead, Michael. I see your hand.
Well, I've had a win with a paid client coming on board, but I would say a challenge, and this is what I also wanted to just sort of inquire and see what any other coach on board here. I had another client who hired me and was a paid coach, and a paid client, and somehow I don't know what happened, but I think he got kind of not cold feet, but just maybe isn't ready. And even though because we had several sessions, so I felt like he was on board and then kind of bailed out at the last minute. And, it felt like that there wasn't there was a little bit of a, not lack of transparency, but it was like, oh, he didn't realize how busy he was going to be. And so I just said, hey, I understand. And, I'm here at your side and, want to continue serving you wherever you are at some point. And I don't know, that was, it was a little painful because I felt like, we got to a point after a couple of sessions. And so I was kind of wondering, not what I could have done differently, but what does one do when you're in that? I guess you just kind of have to let it go.
Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about tonight. So I'm probably going to run some game time with you in just a second. So here's the deal. What happens when we get someone on the phone, it seems like everything's going right and that they're a go, and then they're not, and they ghost us, or they have to think about it, and it's for like 3 years that they have to think about it, or whatever it might be. I know that a lot of you are in progress with your sales, and that you have people that you are talking to close the sale. And I'd love to, for all of you who have said you want me to show you the money and you would like to make some money, let's run game film and really talk about what happened and what a different choice could have been and how you still might be able to save it. Sound good? Okay. So Michael, should you want to go first, since I already kind of heard a little bit about it?
Sure.
Okay. So tell me, where did it end with this particular client?
So first of all, we had 2 full-on, hour and change sessions, and, discussed what was involved. And I kind of offered a 3-month package, sent a contract over, which also could maybe need a little revamping. It's pretty standard and straightforward. And we had the 2 sessions, and then we had the paid session. And when I went, I kind of didn't hear from him after that. And I followed up and said, hey, we should definitely set out the next few appointments, get it on the books and what have you, and ghosted.
Mm-hmm.
And then he sent me a text saying, I'm going to pay you for that last session, and I said, hey, I'm not really worried about the money. I want to make sure that, you're being served, and everything that we had talked about, not only the 2 sessions that were, kind of what do you call it? Enrollment calls, if you will, but also the paid session, kind of what happened, right? Like, where do you want to go from here?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let me jump in here.
Yeah.
So first of all, good job getting someone and really walking through that whole process. Question, what you're calling a paid session, had he paid for?
Nope.
Okay, so it wasn't a paid session.
Well,
was
we
it?
discussed that it was a paid session.
Okay, so
But the money wasn't in the bank before the.
All right, so let's just start here for everyone. Sometimes clients get really excited. They say yes, you get that session on the books that you think is a paid session. Remember, we do not coach or start a formal coaching relationship until we have been paid and until we have that signed contract. So, Michael, where maybe it could have gone differently is after the enrollment call and you guys had talked about everything and whatever else you scheduled that first session, is to let him know payment needs to be made by this date. And here's when our next session is. If the payment doesn't come through, that's where you need to get on the phone with the client and ask, hey, I know we're scheduled for, Thursday and it's Tuesday, payments due. just making sure that, you know, we're still on for this. That way they can let you know where they've been scared off. Something has happened. The other thing with him not wanting to continue, or him saying, hey, I'm gonna pay you for that, I wonder what frightened him. You know, where did he get triggered, or what happened in his world? And so instead of letting him off the hook and saying, you know, I just want to make sure and it's fine about the money, I would say, let's get on a call for 15 minutes. And I have an idea for you, or I want you to walk me through what happened here. And let him tell you something has happened in his world that has changed since the last time you spoke. And it's important for you as the coach to not just back off and say, oh yeah, no problem. It's instead, let's get on the phone. And that's what a professional relationship looks like. If you are in the middle of a service with somebody, we don't just stop talking, you know, if the person's texting us. We are the professional, we get on the phone to meet the need. Make sense?
Total.
So I wonder for you, can you send him an email? Text is really not the most professional way, but can you send him an email and just say, so-and-so, I'd love to jump on the phone for you for 15 minutes and just talk through what's transpired since our last session. You know, let's get on the phone and do a check-in. Let me see how I can support you. I really would like to get into your world. And that way you can hear it and go from there. But did anything occur in the last session that seemed to go sideways?
Not really. I mean, we went through the whole session. We talked about accountability. We talked about, action items for him to do, and I asked him if he'd be willing to commit to doing those action items, and I would hear from him. And, he was super excited and what have you. And then all of a sudden, I felt like it was almost like, because he does have another job and he wants to make this whole change. And he's like, I'm just so overwhelmed. And then I've got my kids and I just don't think I don't think September is going to be a good month for me because I'm just starting this whole back to work,
Okay. So then here's something that you could say in the email is that, I have something for you that I'd like to discuss because I wonder where it's showing up in other areas of your life. And when he gets on the phone, it's fine if he doesn't want to coach anymore, or he wants to wait, whatever that is. But I'd say, can I make an observation? He's going to say yes. You can tell him, this doesn't mean it's 100% true, but I'm wondering how staying overwhelmed is keeping you stuck, or where else is this getting in the way or showing up? How is overcommitting hurting you or benefiting you? But I would get in there and find out, because the thing is coaching is bold. We're the ones that are supposed to say the things that other people won't say. And if we don't, then we're not really serving. And if you do continue to work with him in the future, do not do it until you've got that entire schedule set up, you have payment, and you have a contract.
Yeah, there's something else. I mean, I don't know what that is, and I think that's why you're inviting me to have that conversation.
Find out.
I think it was like, and I think when he got a contract too, personally, I think he just was like, because he really wants certain things to happen with these, whether it's 3 months or 6 months of coaching. He really has a very specific thing that he wants to see happen at the end of the coaching
Contract.
Contract or paradigm, whatever. And I, like any, hopefully people with integrity, I said, I can't guarantee that that's going to happen. What I can guarantee is that I'm going to be, your absolute, partner in this whole thing to help you discover what your world can be if you look at it in a different kind of through a different looking glass.
Sure. And something else too, instead of the I can't guarantee, is to ask him, who will he need to be to make those things happen? Clearly not someone that doesn't show up, doesn't pay, and doesn't sign contracts or keep appointments. So you could even bring that up that, hey, I know you really wanted to get all of these things, but this is a really interesting thing that I observed, your lack of being all in. And when you go over your agreements with your clients, when you start working together, you have to have that verbal agreement of, are you willing to show up fully for each session and to do what it is that's necessary for you to do in this coaching relationship? So if those things weren't set up either, then there was some flimsiness by the coach with the sacred space as well. So I would go back, do a little bit of a redo and see what happens.
The last part, I feel like I did do that. The first part I definitely did not. You know, the whole, you know, who are you being willing
Okay.
to
Yeah.
help? Who will you be the other side of that partnership
Right.
and showing up and
if he agreed in the beginning, if you really did come up with strong agreements that you keep your appointments, you're on time, you pay on time, you show up fully committed, then what happened? Where else in his life is he out of integrity in his agreements?
Yeah.
So you have a lot there to play with him,
mm-hmm.
where you could really serve this person powerfully, say things to him that probably no one else is willing to say, and help him see an area and a pattern in his life that may be affecting him somewhere else.
Got it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Michael.
Sure.
Who
Thank
else
you.
has one? Who else has one that?
May I say an observation for a second?
Sure.
What I feel from what Michael said is somewhere the balance between how much Michael wanted it and how much the client wanted it kind of maybe mixed and matched, or the balance there. How do you put that ball back in their court? Like, how do you, if doesn't matter, he got a contract and he got overwhelmed and whatever it is, and then Michael was like, wait, but we made a commitment, where are you going? Don't go? Or in
No,
other words?
definitely
No,
not.
I was exaggerating it,
Okay.
like completely. Michael, I know you did not do it. I'm saying when there's a situation that inside you feel that,
Mhm.
how do you get the ball back to them to make them being the one that, hey, wait, do you have time for me still? I still want your services.
So that's right. So
Question.
the first thing is you want to check the client's yes. Clients often will say yes. People that you might work with say yes, but they don't really mean yes. Check their yes. Find out when they say yes that they want to work with you, who they're going to be called to be. What are the things that they're going to have to do? My coach, when she took me on, she told me what the commitments were. She said, I need you to guarantee that this is a full yes for you. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to come up with a schedule in advance, and we're both going to agree to the dates for a year. That's checking the yes, me putting them all on my calendar. I also need you to pay everything up front. And whatever it is that, and I have to write her post-dated checks so that we never have to talk about money again. And whether I show up or not, she's cashing those checks. Check the yes. She would not coach with me until she had the payment and she had the contract. So as the coach, we need to be strong in the beginning. It sounds like there was probably some flimsiness with this from the beginning. Does that make sense, Sharon? Yeah. And when you check the yes, some clients are afraid and are like, oh, that's too much. And some clients are really into it. You want to work with the ones that are willing and that are committed. Yeah. Kimberly, did you have a hand up? Okay. Who else has a situation with a client that you talked to, potential? Maybe it went sideways. It didn't end in a contract that we can run some game time on. Love to do this live with you to help you go and save it.
Should I talk about what I posted on the Facebook?
If you'd like to, if that's helpful.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think I got a good answer from you, but I think it's worth, because I'm going to speak to him on Friday.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah. So here we are in a voice coaching Zoom, and he's not following through because he is kind of without a rudder in his life. COVID has changed everything, and he's kind of feeling like not motivated to do any of the things that he loves, and not really. He's alone. There's isolation. There's many things that are in the way of him feeling like motivated to do anything, including going to the office. And he's attorney, he has people who are relying on him. So I was like, I don't know if more voice lessons is going to serve you, because he's canceling, right? Like, I didn't practice, da da da. So will personal coaching be something that might help you? I just want to ask. Yeah, I think it will. Okay. All right, good. So how can I serve you today? And then, so I didn't check the yes.
Mm-hmm. I also wonder with this one if he understood what coaching is, because he's in a relationship with you for voice coaching, for vocal lessons. And I wonder if he really understands what coaching is, how it's different than what you're doing with him, and how it's different than therapy or consulting.
I did send him a detailed email explaining that coaching is not therapy.
Mm-hmm. And that's assuming that he would read it. A lot of people don't read. We have to do it verbally.
And this is how it's different. And he responded to that email.
Okay.
He won't fill out the form. You remember that.
Fill out the form. Yep.
So he may not have read it. He may not. He may
Yep.
not have read the whole paragraph. Although he's an attorney, I would expect him to.
But that's an expectation, so it's not an agreement. So here's the other thing is we have expectations of our clients, and then we have agreements with our clients and with people in our lives. They're very different things. You had an expectation, Kim, of what he would or wouldn't do, but you didn't have an agreement when you got off the phone saying, I'm going to send you an email. It's going to go over what coaching is or isn't. I need you to read that and to let me know that you understand. In addition, I'm sending you some prelim questions that I need you to fill out before our session. Does that work for you? That would have been an agreement. You just expected that he would.
Right.
Yeah. So there's the missed opportunity. Again, in the beginning, our container as coaches, we really have to lead our clients down strongly, not in this kind of strongly way, but strongly in a frame so that they understand what's expected and there's buy-in and agreement.
Right.
That probably would have helped.
Yeah, I think it would have helped. I wrote him today and I said, well, whatever. Anyway, I'm going to see him on Friday and I'll have an update next month.
Okay. So when you see him on Friday, you decide if you want to work with him as a coaching client. He doesn't decide if he wants to work with you as a coaching client. You have a few things that are required if clients are going to work with you. And some of them are around agreements, such as we need to agree on what the coaching process is. We need to agree on what we're accomplishing. We need to agree on how you're going to show up, how I'm going to show up, and we need to agree on pre-work and what that means and looks like. For him, he might not want to put anything in writing, especially because he's an attorney. That could just be a trigger, and that's something for you to know and then agree upon, but have some agreements.
Okay.
Okay, let me know how that goes. And Michael, it's the same thing. I think that there was a missing agreement here with your client. You expected that he would sign the contract and that he would pay. He didn't agree to it, and he didn't do either of the things. So we really need strong agreements with the people that we're working with, and we need them to have the buy-in. We both agree together. What's that sparking for you guys? Can I ask us like, yeah, go ahead.
So I actually had my first discovery call with a potential client in Japan yesterday. So
Congratulations, woo woo.
So Michael and who was it? Kimberly, thank you so much for sharing your experiences, because this is so powerful. And the thing that I need to really hone in is like the agreement, which you just said, to make sure that there's an agreement and a buy-in. And that I did explain the kind of like the overall process. I think this was more of a first time to understand from his perspective what coaching was or is. So I told him, hey, I'm gonna give you some material. I'd like you to go over it. Please, I'll check in with you. I'll follow up and see if you have any questions. And then let's set up another call, which I didn't set it up, but that is probably where I could have gone a little bit stronger and say, hey, let's set up a call next week to just check in to see if you can't make it, just let me know. But I think it's good to just like check in and see where you're at. So I'm learning, but this has been really fantastic to understand that laying out the agreement and getting the buy-in, but also pointing out all the potential, obstacles and the hoops that might come up, like what you were saying would be a really great way. So at least it was mentioned, the client is aware of the conversation coming up at some point, but also clarifying it in the beginning. So thank you.
All right, you're welcome. And for you, instead of telling the client that you're going to check in with them, you want to leave them with, what do they still need? What do they want to commit to? And then you have an agreed upon time of when it would be useful to speak again. So that way you're not just checking in. What it really means is just seeing if I can get your money. Instead, have an agreement and they have to show up.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let us know how it goes.
Yeah, we'll do.
Yeah, that's exciting. Who else has something in the works with a potential client, or maybe one that it didn't go the way that you thought it would? Carrie, I'm dying for you to speak. Come on. I've been sending you messages
I knew you were.
telepathically. I don't know why you're not responding to me.
I know, I'm like, Gretchen's peering into my soul right now.
I am. So can we do this?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So give the setup to them, just for the people who were not in the Build Your Business group and didn't hear what was going on. Give them just a little bit of background with that client and then fill me in.
So the potential client is actually my brother-in-law. And I reached out to a number of people. When in July, we did a lot of outreach to people that we were aware of an issue we could help with, and offering help with that issue just to get in conversation. So he has a startup, and I know he's really struggling. He's like became the CEO by default. And so I just offered to help, and he was like, great, that's great. Let's do it. So we got on the phone, we really coached around, and this is kind of where I'm learning I made a mistake. We kind of dove right into coaching. Like, I did not, exactly what you're saying, like I didn't frame it. There wasn't an agreement. But we coached around what he's struggling with in his business. And then we set up another call to do more coaching because there was just so much on the table. And he wanted to pay for that. And I was like, great. Although then I realized now it's getting messy because I don't usually do single sessions. So we did another call. He paid for it. At the end of that session, he said to me, he's hiring this COO, and he's like, because of our session today, because of you and us doing this work, I'm going to be able to get this guy, because instead of dumping everything that I wanted to on him, I worked it out with you today. And so I'm going to go to him with a clear head and whatever, like, huge win. And so there it was, like, there's my bold moment to pitch coaching. And I did not. I totally didn't, which is like a whole other issue that I will need to be coached around. And then I worked with Gretchen a little bit on it, and she suggested that I get on the phone with him, which is very important. And I said I would, and then I totally freaked out again. I emailed, he was willing to get on a phone call, but I ended up doing it through email. And I touched in on what I heard at the end about, like, he said, like, I'm really alone in this. And so I was like, what does he need? Like, how can I serve him? And I thought, well, he doesn't have to do this alone. Like, I can be his partner in this. So that was essentially the offer in the email. But there were so many places in this where I was not bold, and I let my fear get in the way, and I took like the easy way out. And then I didn't really serve him because I wasn't being a leader. I thought, he's the CEO, like, he doesn't need anyone else to take care of. Like, I was almost having him take care of me and being timid. And I should have been the leader and shown him, like, you don't always have to be the leader if you have a partner in this.
And where is it now?
So I have not heard back. I sent that email and he never responded. Okay. But I totally left it out in the email. Like, instead of saying, I know I did this so many times. Instead of saying, you know, here's what I see. I would love to work with you. You know, if this sounds interesting to you, let's get on the phone. I had to, at the end, and I totally did this, like, before I sent it, I said, and if it's not something you're interested in, like, know that I'm supporting you from the sidelines, and I'm super proud of what you're doing. So, and like, I kept closing the door.
Okay.
Over and over.
And let's just really thank Carrie for that honesty and vulnerability right there to tell us, because isn't it true, as coaches, we close the door on ourselves all the time. Oh, I already know you think it's too much money. Yeah, it really is expensive. Let me give you a discount. There's a lot of coaches out there. I don't really know why you would work with me. We're just closing it and closing it. And then that's what we say out loud. And then our head says all sorts of other things to go with it. So it's like slam, slam, slam. So Carrie, I'm wondering, when you use your intuition, because you are the queen of intuition and you tap into that, how can you kick the door back open?
Well, I have to get on the phone with them.
Yes.
Like, I think I would just have to be really honest and say that, like, I in no way want to like give him the runaround on this, and that I have a strong feeling that there's something left to talk about, and I would love to get on the phone to talk about it. So that would be the first step.
So you leave out the I don't want to do the runaround. It's I have something for you. It's going to help move you forward in this area that we were talking about. When do you have 15 minutes? Or I have 15 minutes at this time and this time. Which one works for you? Okay.
Yeah. Can I tell you where my fear is around
I
that?
was just going to say, and what just happened?
So because I and this is totally where I see like this is a huge mistake, because I left the out at the end of the email, I have taken his non-response as like, I'm taking the out, which may or may not be true. That's an assumption on my part. He's very busy. He might have just read it and gone, oh, cool, I'll follow up with her. And I think because, and this is where family's tricky, because he's my brother-in-law, I feel like if I follow up and he doesn't want to coach, that he and my sister-in-law are going to be like, God, she's being sleazy or salesy or like pushy or yeah.
Sure. What if you reframe that you were being clear instead, not pushy, not sleazy, but being clear and adding value. And then if he doesn't want it, no problem. But at this point, you've actually done him a disservice. You had something you could help him with. You could have been his thinking partner. You do have something that you could say to him. You can offer it up, and really strongly though, I have time this time and this time. I have something that I'd like to offer up around that situation that I think will help move you forward. And then if he doesn't, he doesn't. No problem. You can check in with him in 3 months and just say, hey, how did it go with the COO?
Yeah. So the email to him would just be, hey, I've got something for you. Can we get on the phone for 15 minutes? Or when do you have time?
For you that's going to help you move forward.
Okay.
That's going to help you move forward. Not, and when do you have time? Instead, I have time here and here. Which works for you?
To start being the leader.
Be the leader. That's what he was attracted to in the conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's how you show up. And then when you are on the phone, you say, you know, I realized I left something out, or I've been pondering and really thinking about you in this situation. May I make an observation? And then give him something. Give him something that you observe that you think would be helpful. See how it fits. See how it resonates. And then from there, when he says, you know, oh, I don't need to do this thing, I'm going to go do that. Find out how it went. How did it go? What does he need now? What's the next thing that he's thinking about?
Yeah. After we talked about being bold last time, I thought if I was being bold with Casper, like, and I don't know exactly how I'd ask it, but it's something about like, when are you going to stop allowing this situation to happen to you and take ownership of this thing you've created and make it what you want? Because he's like really in this like victim role, like I became the CEO, I didn't even want this isn't what I do. And it's like, but you're the CEO of a $5 million startup. So what now? That's where we start from.
And what if you ask that?
It feels better. Like that feels so much better in my body. Like I feel better.
And he'll feel better. That's the question. That's the thing you want to say. Something else that you can do, Steve Chandler has a fabulous book. It's called Reinventing Yourself. This is a great gift for all of your clients or potential clients. It's not very expensive. And it's good too sometimes to send a potential client something to help get them over to the next step. Reinventing Yourself helps take you out of victim state to ownership and talks about this very thing about what do you want to create? What do you want to create? So that could be something very helpful, Carrie. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you've got some action steps.
Yes, I do.
Okay. I can hardly wait to hear how it goes. Who's next? Who else has one that maybe didn't go quite the way you had hoped? Mackenzie, I can see you. What's going on with you?
Truly not a lot.
Not a lot?
I don't know. I've never really had an issue with it. They either say hell yes or hell no. And
Perfect.
so, yeah.
Okay. And right now in your sales cycle and in your serving cycle, is there anyone there that you want to kind of talk about or brainstorm on?
No, I've had some family trauma stuff the last couple weeks, so I'm kind of out of the
Okay,
client generate. Yeah,
no problem. If there's anything that you need support on, let me know.
thank you.
Okay. Okay, who else has something? Anything else we want to run some real-time game film on? Yeah, Emily.
My Wi-Fi has been really bad, so if I freeze, I
No.
apologize. But I don't know if this. I guess I just don't know what to do in this situation, and it's happened a couple times where I have a really good initial call. I've had a couple, and then we sign up for a time for. Well, we went through, and they, were kind of thinking about it. And I said, well, why don't I gift you with a free session, and then we can go from there. We schedule the free session, and then they don't show up, and then they just are gone. And it's happened twice. And in
Okay.
my mind, it's like, this is a free session. What are they scared of?
Mm.
So I don't know if, I was just surprised that it happened 2 times. And I've only been doing this for a few months. So not quite sure what to do next.
Okay, so let's talk that through. And everyone, Emily got her first paying client not too long ago, and that was awesome. And she's really trying all of these new things and stretching herself when it comes to serving and to selling. So this is a great thing to talk about. So with those 2 clients, they both had enrollment calls with you, the first conversation.
Yes.
Okay. Think of one of them specifically, just so we can talk it through.
Mhm.
When you have that in your mind, let me know.
Yeah, I have the one.
Okay. So how did you actually end that call to get to the point of where you were offering that gifted session?
I think this was before we'd spoken about ending it in possibility.
Okay.
She heard my number and got scared because she just bought a car, and she said, well, I don't have that money.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, oh, well, if you have to think about it, this is an expensive thing, test driving it first, all of that. And that's when we signed up. Now that I'm saying it out loud, ending that first conversation in possibility instead of with the number of how much it costs might have brought her back.
Yeah, good catch. So what Emily's talking about is that when the client asks for your number and you get to the part of the conversation that it's time to actually talk about that, you always want to leave it in possibility, not in the price. So you say your number is $1,500, let's say, and the client goes, oh, that's a lot of money. You don't end it there or say, let me give you a gifted session. Instead, it's you take it back to all of the things that client talked about. And you say, well, let me ask you something else. And you think of something else to ask them around that topic and get them thinking about it again, get the juices flowing, get them talking about that. They're going to come back and ask you another question about the number, or they're going to say something about what they're thinking about in regards to it after you lead them into possibility. Once that happens, you can say, here's the deal. I only want to work with you if it's 100% yes. It is an expense. And let's, today what we were doing, we were getting to know each other to make sure that what you need is really coaching, that it can serve you. How about we have a session on this thing, whatever the possibility was, and see what happens. See what you think. And you can decide after that. And if they're like, oh, it's free and they feel bad, it's no problem. It's the way I build my business. And I want to make sure all of my clients are 100% ready before we work together. So Emily, when you think of it like that, how do you think that may have shifted things?
Yeah, that probably would have done it. I think that's what was holding her back, was that number, and then being scared of going in to this free session, being expected to pay that number at the end.
Yeah.
So that's a great point. And that's what I'm working on, is this ending in possibility instead of scaring them off by the number.
Exactly. Something else that can help when a client asks about the numbers, you can say, I'm happy to tell you the number, but I wonder if I could give you a coaching session first. And they're like, wait, aren't we coaching now? You could just say, no, we're just getting to know each other to make sure what you need is coaching. And the reason I'd like to gift it to you first is so that you can experience it without worrying about the money. And see what you think. Some people really like that. Some are bottom liners and they just want to know the number. Either way, it's okay, but that's another option. That's another thing you can do. Okay, who else has one? I love that you guys are all having these enrollment conversations and getting out there and trying and seeing what happens. Fantastic. We all have to learn. We all have to figure it out. So good for you. Anyone else have one they want to go through? Go ahead, Kim.
Okay, so I know there are a lot of people on here, so I don't want to take time, but since no one else is raising their hand.
Go for it.
Okay, so there's a woman I know who I took I took what we've been learning, and I suggested that we have a talk, right? I'm a coach, let's meet. I want to hear what's important to you. And I think I mentioned it in our last Building Your Business, and I told you I don't believe her, and you said I should tell her that. So here's the thing. She's a super high functioning business owner of a PR firm out of New York.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got a partner. She's the creative, and she's, you know, her hair is all curly and everywhere. Like she's very out of, you know, she's not the person like writing contracts and running numbers.
Right.
So she says that she wants to retire, and yet she's super involved because she created this business, Trent and Company. She created this business, and she's the one that people want to talk to. And I kind of feel like I don't even know how to coach her. She's a business owner. She's like this high-powered business owner. And today we had a follow-up, and she mentioned our last session, and she said, I thought about it, and I really came away with very clear understanding of what my goals are from our last session.
Mm-hmm.
And she also had a recognition of, you know, someone that she criticizes, and how she is doing the same thing and saying, I want this, but I'm doing that, right? So she really wasn't in a very on the ladder. So I'm listening to the ladder today, right? So she wasn't in a good place on the ladder. So even though we had a time to talk, I kind of was like, let's choose another time when you're in a different state of mind so that we can concentrate on what's important to you. But in the meantime, you know, I'm here. And before we hang up, she's like, what can I do to help you market this? I want to return, da, 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 right? So I'm at that point where I'm on the proposal.
Yeah.
Right? It's the proposal. So no, I don't want you to help me marketing my business.
Mm-hmm.
I'm building relationships, and who do you know? Or I'm ready to take our relationship to the next level and engage in a professional coaching relationship with you, and I want to see you achieve what you're saying you want.
Okay. Which of those options do you like the best?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what this is calling for, is basically what it comes down to.
My gut says serve her, which would be to coach her, and she will market you anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
When we're doing things and we're out there and our clients are moving mountains and things are happening for them, they tell people anyway. Right now, she doesn't have enough of an experience to really market you. She's saying it. She's a publicist.
Right.
We spin all sorts of tales, all sorts of everything.
Okay.
You notice some inconsistencies about her already. That's the way that you can serve her. Is I've got an observation for you, wondering if I can share. Not saying that it's 100% true, but I noticed this and this. I'm wondering where else this is showing up in your life.
Yes. And I used that today. When I said to her, you know, I noticed that you said that you don't want this, and yet you are doing that. And so do you have trouble saying no? And she's like, yes, I really have trouble saying no.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So here's this, like, she's a very successful businesswoman who doesn't know how to say no. Like, how did she get there?
What if you said to her, I really appreciate you wanting to refer me. That's flattering, but I'd like to serve you because I'm wondering what could change in your life if you could get to the part where we could uncover what makes it difficult for you to say no and so that you could change that pattern. See what she says.
Typing. Okay. Yeah. Good.
Good. How does that feel, Kim?
That feels great. Should I send her that book, Reinventing Yourself?
I don't know if that's the one for her. I'm not sure. I mean, it could be if you say that she's on the precipice of retirement, that yeah, then go ahead. That actually is a great one. If she's getting ready to retire and she's trying to figure out what comes next, that one can help you create anything.
Out of Trent and Company. Out.
Okay. I really understand wanting out of PR. That's why I became a coach. Yeah, get that. Okay, good. You're welcome. So I love all of the energy around this, and I really appreciate everyone's honesty and authenticity, because the truth is we all have questions as coaches of how in the world do we get people to pay us the money? Show me the money already. How do I do it? And it's being honest about where you're at in your process and being willing to try something else and being willing to do the game time too, and keep getting people on the phone, keep having conversations. You know, the quickest way to see what your bank account is going to look like is to see how many calls you have been setting up. If you have no calls, you probably don't have a lot in your bank account when it comes to coaching. So the more that you put out there, it's a numbers game. Someone's going to come back with a yes. So I'm wondering, I'd love to hear, you know, what are some of the things that you learned tonight? What maybe helped you the most? Give me your gems. Yeah, Carrie.
I learned that it's usually not too late for a second chance.
Yep.
So to really check in on that and then take what we learned, and apply it and see what happens.
Yeah, see what
Either
happens.
way, I either don't have a client or I do. But if I do nothing, I definitely don't have a client.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. And don't be afraid to serve your client. Don't be afraid to say the thing. Yeah, good, Carrie. What else did you guys get? Yeah, awesome.
So much. Expectation versus agreement, buy-in, and leaving them in the possibility was really sort of powerful. But it was really what Carrie had mentioned. It's never too late to go back, to reframe, to pull, you know, that juice back in, get them thinking, because it's there, it's sitting there. And I think as us coaches, we get so nervous about the money, what they're thinking, what makes them tick off, how they're, you know, this must be so much for them. And we forget that the purpose is to serve them. And if we can come from that strength to understand that, if we can come back to ourselves, to be strong, to be leading, to know that we can best serve them when we are strong and we know exactly how to get through to them in the best way possible, it's going to be a game changer. So this has been phenomenal. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you for sharing that. Who else? Yeah, Carol.
Yeah, thank you everybody for sharing your stories. It's so helpful to hear other things that people are going through, so you feel like you're not the only one. The thing for me was the business part, you know, and being a leader, taking charge, taking ownership. We're not only coaches, but we're business people, right? And I keep thinking about, as you were all talking, that this is a service that we're providing that's transformational, you know, and you go to a doctor or a lawyer and they don't hem and haw about the money. It's like, here's your bill, right? So let's act like them. Let's just say, and to own it. I mean, for me, it starts with like owning who I am and the service that I'm providing. And I know, because I've been in therapy and I've been coached, and my life is so much better, right? So it's like, once we own that what we do changes lives, then we can say, and by the way, here's my invoice. Thank you very much.
Right. That's right. Thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
Michael, I saw your hand.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I got a lot of takeaway from the repetition of things that you've said before. And, you know, some of this is, again, for everybody, it really is a practice of the approach to, you know, we know in our hearts we want to serve, but the practice of actually serving is the practice of continually practicing how to, you know, to conduct these conversations that are ultimately powerful and not only buy in to getting clients, but actually upping our game as far as serving.
That's exactly right. Thank you for sharing that. One more. Anyone else want to share one more of what you got? Yeah, Emily.
So I learned to not give up on clients, that if it feels like it's the end, you can still open that door. So that was a big realization for me today.
Good. You can always take it back to possibility. So that's fantastic. So I run the special interest group for ICFLA, and my guest next Tuesday is Steve Chandler, author
Already signed up.
What?
Already signed up.
You already signed up. Good. Author of The Prosperous Coach. If you have, Michael has signed up. So there you go. We know he'll be there. Kaylin, how many of you have signed up? Raise your hand already. Okay, so some of you have already signed up. If you haven't signed up and you're interested in hearing Steve talk, which he's fabulous. He's so great to listen to. Talk about learning from someone who is the godfather of coaching. I love that that is his, how he's known. It's pretty fantastic. And he's an all-around good guy. Then I encourage you to go and sign up. It's on the ICFLA website. And you can go in there and just take a look at it, see if it's something that you're interested in. And then as far as September goes for my Build Your Business group, we're going to be building on this Show Me the Money concept. And we're going to be talking about really the difference in differentiating your niche and your target market. There's so much talk about niche. Do you have a niche? Do you have a niche? And I think that sometimes what happens is we get lost in the weeds trying to find a certain type of person instead of figuring out, is this my target market? Is this the person that I want to work with? Is this client ready? So there's a difference in your niche and in the person that you really want to work with. So we're going to talk about that and the criteria that you need to put into place for you to say yes to working with clients, not just saying yes to anyone who calls you on the phone and happens to have a conversation with you. The other part there too, we're going to talk a lot about fear, because these fears that some of you shared tonight, they're big. They're like big blocks that we need to move in order for anyone to give you any money anyway. So we're going to go into that, and then we're always going to work more on closing the deal. So if you haven't signed up for the Build Your Business group yet, you are always more than welcome to join. All of that information's on the website. It's in the Coaching for Coaches group. And then you'll have access to the content from the month before as well. So you'd have access to August. Does anyone have any questions before we close for tonight?
Only gratitude.
Thank you guys. So much gratitude for you too. I love this Coaching for Coaches group. It's really fun to be with you, and to share the journey on the path. And I just want to thank you for the ripple effect that you are all creating in the world. It's important, and your work is important. And commend yourself for showing up to something like this and being willing to learn. It really means that you're dedicated to treating this like a profession rather than a hobby, and that's going to pay off. So I will see some of you later in September. I'll see all of you on Facebook, and I'll see you in October for First Wednesday. We're going to be talking about mental health. October's Mental Health Month, and so that first Wednesday we're going to talk about mental health, our mental health of our clients, and things that we can do to really prepare for that. So have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So good to see you all.
Thank you, Gretchen.
Thank you, Gretchen.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you, Gretchen.
You got it. You go get the client.
Okay.